Welcome to the Cultivation Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Hamill, and this week, wow. Okay, first of all, our guest that we're going to talk about and talk to, and we're going to have her share with us. I first met her at a large conference at a booth where somebody else introduced us. I think it was 2017 back then, and it was like, hey, Jamie and I, my wife and I, we were together and said, we need this person in our life. We need her light, her spirit, her voice, that sort of thing. And so we've been huge fans, followers, and then friends, right? Which is super important. So our guest today, let me just read her bio real quick so that you get a sense of why I'm excited, and then we'll bring her on screen. A wife, a mama, a coach, a fear kicker. We're going to talk about that big time in this world. She says her mission is to, in life, awaken souls to the love of God and their greatest potential. Something we really talk about here is pursuing that identity. Every day, choosing to get up, contending to move forward, and helping others do the same. Believing that we are better together, and we really are better together in owning our zone. So welcome to the cultivation community, Thea Wood. Thank you for taking some time. I know that just saying wife, mama, and coach, you've got a lot of plates spinning. So thanks for carving out a little bit of time to spend it with us, and welcome.
Wow, Tom, I'm so honored to be part of this podcast. And thank you for continuing to knock and send me the emails and remind me, hey, let's make this happen. So, really blessed and honored to be here with you today.
Well, I am super excited about one, just you as a person, but also your mission, some of the things that you're doing, the work that you're doing. And I was like, our audience has to be introduced to Thea, and to just hear about what you're doing, what it took to get you to where you're at, and what you're having to contend for every day to keep pursuing that, as well as bringing other people along the journey. It's super, super important. And so I always kind of start off with a similar question when we have a guest. So you are a coach. You're both. You're a health coach. You're a life coach. You are a goal coach as people are awakening to their identity, their purpose. Did you always know that what you're doing now is what you would be doing? Like, was this always a part of your kind of vision for yourself and how you'd be living life at this stage?
I don't think I was able to envision, and I think many of us can't quite grasp the magnitude of the calling of God on our life. And so, from a very young age, I grew up in the Jesus movement, Jesus freak movement in the late 90s. So I really felt very called to be a world changer, but quickly got married at 19, and in my early 20s began having babies, and that was my dream, was to become a mom. And I really, really loved that. I loved being a mom. Yet there was a part of me that was like, where's that world changer in me, and my 20s kind of set in and complacency set in. And about 29, Tom, is when I'll be turning 40, and we share the same birthday month. I'll be
Yep.
turning 40 on June 30th. And but about 29, Tom, is when I woke up, like an awakening began to take place in my life. First and foremost, I got healthy. I took personal responsibility in my health. I lost over 40 pounds. That woke my spirit woman up. Getting my physical in alignment just kind of began to bring my dreamer back, because in my 20s, my dreamer kind of went away. I just kind of like, well, this is fun being a mom. I guess some of those dreams I had in my teen years just aren't going to be possible. But 29 hit, and I woke up, and I dreamed, but not this big, Tom. Some days I'm kind of like, wow, this is bigger and sometimes way harder than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah. I know that even your bio cuts a little short or downplays some of the things that you and your husband do as far as entrepreneurship and businesses and investing in people, that a lot of people would look at what you've been able to accomplish and say, wow, there is some seriously successful people. successful individuals, successful on lots of levels. Financially, yes, but then also relationship, the family. You've got amazing kids, right? There's just lots of things around there. And before we get into some of the nitty gritty of how to get to that place, a lot of people want to jump immediately to the success side of the story. And they're like, okay, what's the secret to success? And so, what would you say is the ingredient or the element that you would attribute your success or the level of success, however you want to define that? What's been the ingredient for you that you would say, this is what's made us successful into this realm? And then we'll talk about some of the speed bumps along the way in a second. But if you could answer that one first.
I love the question. It's a little bit loaded because I was like, how do I capture it into the only way you fail is if you quit. And when I was a young girl growing up in the Midwest, my parents, two things that I could take to the bank, and I focus my life on that. I focus on the blessing of my heritage. I don't focus on the generational curses and bloodlines. I chose in my teens to focus on the blessing, and the blessings of my bloodline is they taught me really hard work ethic, and they taught me to just wake up and today live it as if it's your last and give it your best shot. And they really taught me how to pray. I had praying grandparents and I had praying parents. And so when I look at my life today, it's not magic pixie dust. It's a decision every day to lean into God, the source of my strength, and never give up. Just this is the day I've been given, and I will rejoice. I mean, during quarantine, we sang "The Joy of the Lord" is that old song. I got the joy, joy, joy down in my heart. I mean, it's like we've just cultivated. Talk about cultivation. We've cultivated a home, and I've been raised in a home that just taught me how to work hard, and I continue to show my kids that. And we cultivate a place, just prayer, I choose to say, God, I'm going to do my part, and you got to do your part.
There certainly is a dependency and faith and a determination to conquer some, whether it's dark days in reality, or even if it's self dark days where the exterior all seems fine, but you're not there. One of the things that I think, and you mentioned this early on in that answer, that you're only a failure if you give up, or you're not a failure until you give up, that sort of thing, is that I think a lot of people perceive that success is given rather than earned. And when you talk about hard work, I know some of your background story. I know some of the things that have happened with businesses and life and different things, that the success that you and Doug have now has been earned, not just given to you.
Yeah.
And it's from hard work. So I absolutely love that. And what that means in the sense of hope is that success is actually available to everybody.
Yes.
And anyone can achieve it if you put in
Yes.
the hard work. So I really appreciate that. Go ahead. Did you
Yeah.
want to say something about that?
Well, I just will echo. I think when people think about hard work, they think it's like this toiling, like, grind. And I just want to release some people. Sometimes hard work is just showing up to that coffee date or that lunch date that you committed to, and your husband and you are in a freaking hard fight, but you show up for that other couple, because it matters, even though you might be at odds, or the milk could have spilled all over your car on the way to. I mean, I've had where I've been on the way to an appointment, the coffee spilled everywhere. And hard work is showing up. It's not like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to grind it out and show up at 5 a.m. at the fitness club and do all. That's great, but a lot of times for most of us, it's actually the fact that the difference between you having success and not having success is you showing up.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And consistency, right? Like what you said, just showing up. Let me ask you this question. So you're doing these things, success, right? We're talking about this hard work. What is different? how have you had to pivot from what you imagined it would be like, right? So, right, when we start on this journey, we have this vision in our minds and our hearts and our spirits of what things are going to look like. Oh, I'm going to do this business. I'm going to do this adventure. I'm going to take on this task, and it's going to look like that. And obviously, we paint the best picture. That's what motivates us. So, with everything that you have your hand in and are doing and are creating, and
Yeah.
I'll use our term, cultivating life into
Yep.
others, how does it look different than you imagined? How have you had to pivot when it comes to that?
Yeah, I'll share a quick story from just this past year because last year I began to really partner with my future self. And a coach that I was working with at the time invited me to go out 25 years from now. And how was I waking up? What was I doing? And really imagine and visualize myself being in that place. And that was a little far out for me. I was like, okay, I've had coaches ask me 5 years, 1 year, but I really have a heart and I love Israel. I fell in love with it. I got to go there a couple of years ago. And so I envisioned myself being able to take my whole family there and enjoying the Galilee. And I just really envisioned myself there. So I'm turning 40 this year. And so part of that process was like I found out there was a marathon in Jerusalem. I signed up for it last year, but quarantine, COVID, all this stuff happened this past year, this past like 3 to 6 months. It feels like many years, but
Yeah,
I had to pivot. I mean, there's times in our life I had to pivot. Did I cancel my marathon? No, I didn't run it in Jerusalem. I ran it here in Scottsdale with like 5 people that met me at the checkpoints. And I still ran that marathon because it wasn't necessarily, it's connected to my future self because everything I do in the now, right now, Tom, it matters. It's connected to the future me. And so there's been many a times that's a more recent where I had to pivot and be like, I could just sit and whine about all the training I had done and that I was going to have this amazing trip with 6 other women in Israel and the Holy Land. Or I could say, okay, God, things are shifting here. I've trained for this. I'm going to do it here. I'm still going to pray. I'm still going to pray for Israel. I'm still going to, my heart is still there. So there's just times in our life where it's not going to look like how we planned it, but actually it turned out better, Tom. It
mm.
turned out better here in Scottsdale, and I probably would have died in Jerusalem running in the marathon. So God grace on my life that I didn't run it in Jerusalem. But that's what's interesting about this whole journey is like when you do pivot, when God asks you to pivot, it's like there's actually greater joy and greater blessing on the other side than how you might
Sure,
have envisioned it to be.
sure. And I think along with that, when you start envisioning and imagining, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And so as you become more informed and more trained and more aware, this is just true for me. Most of the things I've consistently pursued ended up, like you said, either bigger or better than I imagined because I got better along the way,
Yeah.
and possibilities got bigger and better along the way because I was growing as a person. So when you look back and go, whoa, this looks a lot different than I first imagined, you're like, yeah, that Tom never could have imagined, or that
Exactly.
that Tia, you had shared some of that idea that coach had talked to you about going 25 years in the future.
Mhm.
And I was on an airplane flying to Ohio to conduct a funeral of my
Wow.
grandmother just right before I turned 40. And it was one of the fastest flights I'd been on because I did what you had said. I went 20 years in the future. I'm like, okay, I'm about to turn 40. What is my 60-year-old self thanking me for?
Yep.
Saying, thank you for doing that. Thank you
Yep.
for taking that step. And I started
Yeah.
just charting things out of who I wanted to be and what did I want to thank myself for.
Yeah.
Putting family first, creating
Yeah.
memories, priority, experience over stuff. And
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, I don't know if a plane's ever even moved any faster than that because I was just charting these things down, and
Yeah.
I can tell you that it has reshaped everything. Cause now I'm like, what's my 60-year-old self thanking me for today?
Yep, that's right.
And so it's just been kind of like a guide rail and a guardrail of what I'm saying yes to, and more importantly, what I'm saying no to,
That's right.
because I'm like, well, would my 60-year-old self thank me for doing that today, or thank me for buying that today, or thank me for saying that today to
That's right.
that person? And it's been just a very powerful pulling to
Yes.
that person that I'm becoming. So, anyways, thank you for that.
I,
That was not scripted. So
well, and it's not looking to the left or the right for someone to lead you. Which talk about you're leading. You're writing a book about this that's going to be launching this fall, but I mean, you're leading yourself. You are connected to the future you that is on your side, that is cheering you on. They are for you. They are not against you. I mean, yes, I always knew God was on my side and I know all the scripture verses, but Tom, a paradigm, a shift happened in my life last year when my coach said, "Okay, Tia, I'm not just another coach, like another counselor." I mean, it was kind of my this was my repeat every couple years. Who can get me to the next level, right? Who's
mhm,
going to guide me there? And she's like, this isn't, we're going to partner up. I'm like, whoa, whoa. This was like a little outside my, like my realm of what I even kind of could compute. But when I partnered up like that, Tom, and I really invite everyone listening to do this, because you're no longer looking for the next person to fix your problems or fix your marriage or the way you just lashed out at your child. You're actually taking personal responsibility and being like, dang it, I'm really sorry, mommy messed up. Will you forgive me? Will you, will you have grace?
yeah,
And we're going to do, because it's connected. And I'm not looking for someone else to coach me through how to be a better mom. I'm becoming a better mom because my future self is is guiding me and helping me. So
yeah. I just really love the intentionality behind it. It's so important. So let me ask you this question. So as you're on that journey and your future self is guiding you and pulling you and
yeah.
coaching you, how how do people cultivate the grit, the hard work ethic that you talked about? How do you do it? Maybe you're not prepared to tell others how to do it, but okay, how
Yeah.
do you do it to do the tough stuff, right? To do the hard and the hard work of pursuing those goals, pursuing those dreams. How do you cultivate that and work through that? Can you pull back the curtain and give us the messy picture of how do you get through those things?
Yeah. I think it's really important to find a rhythm of life for you. For me, it has been essential that I found a rhythm of life of how to fuel myself, how I eat every day, because how I eat is how I show up. So I just make sure I have really good nutrition. And obviously I have a coach in my corner that's guiding me in that. I really make sure that I hydrate myself well and I drink water. It's the first thing that touches my mouth. I know these are really simple, like things that you're like, Tia, come on, give me the magic code.
Yeah,
Like, this is the magic code. I wake up, I drink water, I watch my nutrition, I make sure I'm eating every couple hours. Another important component for me has really been like getting outside in nature on the daily, getting out, doing a power walk, or just for me, nature is important. I grew up on a farm, so I think there's some connection point there. I know not everyone all across the country can do that right now. It's a little difficult
sure.
with the masks and all that. And and just really for me, the word of God, prayer, and who I surround myself with. The five people you are the people you surround yourself with. So kind of look around. If the people that are surrounding you aren't the people you want to become, it's time to take a pulse check and not discount them. You can still love them, but it's time for you. I had to get very uncomfortable, Tom, and put myself in rooms that I didn't feel worthy to be in the
Mm,
room, which is a bunch of, you know, that's my head. But I put myself in rooms that honestly scared me because I knew where I wanted to go. And I knew at the time I wasn't surrounding myself with the people that were going to take me to where the dreams and the goals that I have within me. And the person next to me, my cousin or my sister or my mom, they're not responsible for the dreams God placed within me. I'm responsible for that.
Yeah, so good.
And
Yeah.
so I just put myself around people like you and Jamie, and showed up at General Counsel in 2017 with my big Kick Fear in the Face booth, because I'm like, I have a message and people need this. People need to know that they're not alone in their fears of failure, fears of success, fears of what people think of them. They're not alone. And I think that's the biggest thing, Tom, is once people can realize they're not alone, they're like, oh, okay, I can do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so empowering. And I love the practical steps, and I'm all about just taking action,
Yep.
action steps. And so I would just echo, and even from my own life, I developed a morning routine.
Yep.
I have I'm a very pattern kind of person, but I know that my micro habits is what's going to drive my success of reaching my
Right.
goals. So like you said, I have micro habits of every day. My morning looks the
Mhm.
same, and in the same way, water is the first thing that hits my lips every day, because that's what I want my mouth to crave rather than the
Good.
M&Ms.
That's right. Amen to that.
but but so good, so good. There's some things that you kind of hit on I want to dig into just a little bit, and then also set up what is Kick Fear in the Face all about. But with that, you talked about some self-talk and
Yeah.
self-doubt and some fears. What are in your either personal life, if you're willing to share that, or even your relational lives that you've connected with, that you've seen as a common thread or theme, that people fail or give up? So what are some of those common things that actually causes people to fail or give up in life, that you've seen or been a part of or had to deal with or conquer, that you'd share with us?
Yeah, I would say the people that I've seen fail or pull back, they just didn't lean in, you know, they didn't lean into the community. They slowly began to isolate, and you know, I've been there. But I think that's an important piece of the puzzle for all of us is, if you find yourself falling into isolation, depression. I had major postpartum depression. I just made sure the first sign of it, I let a couple key people know, that were trusted in my life. And so, you know, that is a key component to when the resistance is going to come. We all have hard days. We all have dark nights of our souls, dark days of our souls. Life happens, you know, parents are going to die, our cats are going to die, our dogs are going to die, you know, kids are going to get sick. You know, life is going to happen. And we have to know that we are not alone. And for me, that was the tap on my shoulder, Tom, is Kick Fear in the Face came out of a very place of where I felt so isolated, so alone. I was breaking through in my health, and everyone around me was negative. They weren't supportive of where I was going. They couldn't see it, and that's okay. People don't know what they don't know. But I felt this tap on my shoulder. I remember I was sitting in Starbucks having a coffee, not literally, but I felt like this tap from God saying, "I see you, Tia, and you're not alone. Are you ready to go? Like, are you
Mm,
ready to kick this thing in the face? Kick the fear of what people think of you. Kick the fear. I mean, I had fear of success. Like, oh my goodness, if I actually do this thing and have success and like live out the dreams within me, am I going to be able to be on that stage? I just had a lot of limiting beliefs, Tom, but I just decided to stop the chatter. I just decided to say, no, that is not what God says about me. That's not where we're going. And that's where Kick Fear in the Face became my motto, in the sense of like, when it would come up, when my limiting beliefs would come up, when the fear of what people thought of me would come up, I would be like, Tia, no, we're kicking fear in the face. We're doing this. And it's become a way of living, and a lot of people have grabbed hold of it. I think, you know, I think it's a saying that helps, is for now. I mean, does everyone deal with fear? Probably not to the extent I do, but whatever you do deal with, you got to kick that thing in the face and choose to rise above that noise and do what God's called you to do.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I so appreciate that and your fierceness. You are a fierce woman, and I'm thankful for you, not just for me personally, but also as a girl dad. I have two
Yeah.
amazing girls, and I
Yes,
love
you do.
surrounding them with people like you as a
Yeah.
great example. Um, Real quick, just kind of shifting gears here. What is a tool, resource that you just love to use that you're like, this has been the greatest thing I've ever found, whether it's an app or a program or a notebook? What's a resource or a tool that you just that helps keep you organized and in that rhythm that you've talked about?
I have a couple that I would say that have been, I mean, very beneficial in my life. I mean, one of the early Jesus Calling is a really great devotional, I think, for anyone that's just trying to get into the rhythm of spending those couple minutes, and then can grow on beyond that. But that was a really powerful resource and tool in my life, in my earlier days of my 20 somethings, early 30s. Just fitting it in because as a busy mom, you're like lack of sleep uh, for for business building and personal development. John Maxwell, anything by John Maxwell is like, game changer in my life. And
Yeah,
Five Levels of Leadership was probably uh, really awakened me to influential leadership and not being a positional leader, but being a leader that grows leaders upon leaders upon leaders and helping people lead themselves. So those are two really great resources that have been helpful in my life, both spiritually, just so I could get a nugget every day, and on the standpoint of just becoming a coach and a businesswoman. I mean, I just want to be a mom, Tom. Like I didn't know I was going to be, leading people and helping people build business, but that book has been a game changer because everyone you meet, you have to go through that process of becoming an influential leader in their life. And if you meet them on their turf and you meet them and you walk with them, it's amazing what not. I mean, it's amazing what people can become. I've been blown away, Tom, at the process of seeing people really just bloom when they're planted in really good soil and loved and cherished and cared for. What's possible.
that's awesome. And we're going to put those links on our website, ourcultivatedlives.com. There's also
Okay.
another book. She didn't mention it, but I'm going to right now. Her husband wrote this book,
I should have.
Church Boy to Millionaire.
I
Yep.
didn't want
I
to
would,
be too like,
no, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm the host. So shameless plug here, right? Again, she didn't ask, but I would say their journey, their story, his story, very, very powerful. Not a bad looking couple either. So a little bit of eye candy there. Check that out. Again, all those links are on our website, ourcultivatedlives.com. You can get those links to those books. Appreciate that. Uh, on a lighter note, tell me, something. What is it that you do for fun? I don't know if you have time for fun between running businesses, running marathons, and running a household, but when you have time, what is it that you get to do for fun?
I love a good spa day, with some good girlfriends would be, I love when I have to get my eyelashes done because, friends, these are not real. But I have to close my eyes for like an hour and a half, Tom, and it's like, oh, this is hallelujah, Jesus. But a good spa day is a happy day for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I
And my
I
family.
semi
I love my family too,
no,
but I
I
like a good
gotcha.
spa day.
Yeah, but for moms, I mean, at least in my household, family time is mom work time. Dads get to have fun. Usually, I'm being very
Sure.
stereotypical or at least transparent that I get to be the video game playing dad. Mom is usually preparing a meal and making sure they brush their teeth.
Yes.
So it's work for her, it's play for me. Um, Tell us real quick, what is the messaging, what is the tools and resources, and how do we find Kick Fear in the Face? Give us the lowdown of what that's all about, and how can we utilize it, who's it for, and where do we find it?
Okay. Well, kick fear in the face is for everyone that wants to literally kick fear in the face and choose to rise above the noise and rise above and really become the future you in the now. The best time for action is always right now. And so you can find us over at kickfearintheface.com. You can find Instagram handle is Kick Fear in the Face. Facebook handle is Kick Fear in the Face. I think we have Pinterest too. But really, or you can follow me, Thea Wood, on Facebook. My public page isn't super like active, but you can come follow me on my personal page. I love to inspire hope and just show people that we can truly live our best lives in the now. I love this saying, Tom, and I know you've heard it because we grew up in the same era where it's like we always heard the best is yet to come. And we know that, like, the day is coming, Jesus is coming. And I believe that. But when I really shifted my perspective, that the best time for action, the best time to be is right here in the present, in the now. I really began to enjoy my life a lot more. Before I was like kind of striving and hustling, and now I know I'm given today. I'm gonna give it all I got, and tomorrow's gonna come, and I'm gonna do the same. And so, if I can encourage anyone, that is the message of Kick Fear in the Face: is to take action today, to make that phone call today, to your mom, to your sister, to that best friend, to reconcile, to write that letter, whatever it is, to start running. I mean, now, Tom, I can run a marathon, but 2.5 years ago, I could hardly run a mile. So just start, take action today, and watch how you will create your dreams.
Yes, so incredible. And again, that is kickfearintheface.com. There's merch on there. There's inspirational quotes. I have some hats and t-shirts myself and maybe even a sweater. I think I got a hoodie. Yeah. So anyways, there's
Yeah.
lots of stuff on there. So we're sending everybody there. And again, the link is in the show description or on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, and we certainly appreciate it. Tia, thank you so much for opening your heart, taking some time today. Again, I know that you're busy, so I so appreciate you spending some time with us today as a part of the Cultivation podcast.
Well, I feel encouraged and inspired, and thanks for having me on, and excited to meet more of your community here in the next season as you launch your first book, which I'm super excited for this fall. So,
Yes, it is coming. Well, thanks again for being a part of our show and our community. We would love to multiply our audience by getting you to share this with your friends, your family, post that on social media. We also would love to hear your story. So if you would respond, let us know how you're living the cultivated life, kicking fear in the face. Put that in the comments. We read those, we respond to those, and we interact with those. And that is how we live the cultivation journey. Thanks for checking us out today. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the incredible content we have coming out. Also, we'd love to hear from you in the comment section. We read those, we respond to those as we journey together in the cultivated life.